I'm just curious, Jesse, what your overall impression was of this group, because when Brett spoke to some of the members, they were like a lot of CEOs, a lot of people with a lot of experience. This was like that young crowd that we heard a lot about, at least some of them were.
Someone said, what was it like being the dumbest person in the room? And I said, I'm used to it. So the one kid had dropped out of Harvard to go do this. Another kid was 21 years old. I think Big Balls is maybe 23. And the minute they open their mouth, they're so articulate and they're so serious and they're so competent. One of the guys at the end of the interview said, people sometimes, these bureaucrats, that come up to us and thank us. Because you get the story in the press where these guys are mercenaries and they're coming in and they're just axing people and it's a big standoff. No, these people are collaborating with the DOJ team to make the government better. And that was something I don't think anybody had really known before because of the way the media describes it. One story kind of got me. There's this Institute of Peace, and they say they name things because who would ever want to kill the Institute of Peace? They walk in the door and there's a armory. There's fully loaded weapons being stored in the Institute of Peace. They're sending hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Taliban, and they start asking questions. And then these guys start destroying evidence. They just start erasing files, destroying pieces of paper. It's eye-opening. It really is.
I mean, this is what I can't get over, Harold. What he's describing is crime. I mean, these are crimes. This is taking money and it disappears. That's called stealing. Layers of corruption, layers of stealing that he described. I mean, what do you think should happen to the people that allowed this to happen? Should people go to jail?
It'd probably be a lot of Democrats and Republicans going to jail. This is something that's gone on for way too long. Look, I am a huge supporter of this effort. This is not the first time we've had efforts like this, but this is an effort that has gotten a lot more attention. And you have the richest man in the world who has pioneered and has come up with some of the great innovations and technologies that the country benefits from over the last 10 years. Two, I hope even with his absence, I hope they continue down the road of finding, you have a $4 billion thing at the one that they had at the Department of Education, and there are no receipts for what was drawn down on. All of it may have been legitimate, but you can't do that in the real world. I do ask everyone to take some caution in terms of our glee for just one thing. As I watched you last night, and you were great, by the way, listening to all of them, letting everybody sort of share their story and share the reasons why they're doing this. I'm reminded that government, having worked there, government is not a startup. Government's not a business. We want it to operate as much as it possibly can as a business. I view government as a great nonprofit trying to be a business, and you always have to make sure that they're not spending more, that they're not wasting it, and people are not stealing it. I look at my church, and we probably do things a little inefficiently in town. We maybe have too many food drives. We may have too much time where we have hotlines for people to call, and we may have too many times where we have domestic violence counseling for people. I bet if you have one of these really, really smart guys, and I was a little disturbed there were only men in the room, but if you have one of these smart guys come and say, hey, maybe you guys should only have one food delivery during the day, we'd probably save money. Or maybe you should only have one time where people can come and ask about problems they're having at home. There's some entities in some parts of our society that aren't going to operate like an innovation center in Silicon Valley, or for that matter, Austin, Texas, or wherever. But this overall exercise is a very good exercise, because if those at the Department of Education, or for that matter, any of these agencies, have to answer these tough questions about where the money's being spent, that's a good thing for all of us.
$4 billion, Judge, for the Department of Education, no receipts. That money was supposed to go to catching up kids during COVID. I remember President Biden in that classroom, and the little girl was like, I just, fall asleep, or I go get something to eat. The money it disappeared, and there's no return on it. It's not an extra food drive. It's gone.
Yeah, well, it's gone because people stole. Let's not kid each other. They make claim, for example, as with USAID, that it went for an opera in Ecuador. But the issue is, was there ever an opera in Ecuador?
That's what he's saying. There was no sex change in Guatemala.
So the money goes to this person, and it subcontracts to that person, maybe an LLC here, and it never gets to the alleged goal. And then the question is, was there a kickback? Did everybody spend the money? And let me tell you, I worked in government for 32 years. Nobody does anything without a receipt, Harold. You don't take money and just spend it willy-nilly. And by the way, people who go to work for government, people who work in civil service are unaccustomed to first-class events. When you work for government, you're basically, in the back of the bus, in the back of the plane. These people are renting out Caesar's Palace, spending a fortune on first-class conferences where they don't have conferences. And while American taxpayers are cutting their budgets to make sure they can pay taxes, these people are spending the money with absolutely no consequences. Now, the Democrats have been beside themselves with Doge. How dare you? How could you? This is outrageous and all this other nonsense. I'm not sure that now that Congress is taking over, that we can even trust Congress, because Congress has had the ability to oversee this for the last 30, 40, 50 years, and they've done nothing because one hand washes the other. And now what we've got to try to figure out is whether or not these criminal referrals, and there have been criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, will be prosecuted. And I think there will be a great many of them.
I think that's what you need, Greg. I mean, somebody has to go to jail for stealing money from the American taxpayer, or else it's just going to go on and on and on and on.
There's nothing worse than too many food drives. But you know what? Just let's go back to the A block. This is the hill you die on. The debt's $36 trillion. It's predicted to default in, a decade at this rate of spending. So it could completely destroy the economy, which will destroy the country. This is where you should put your energy. Adults put their energy in this. The Dems, they fly to El Salvador on your dime to defend a thug. That's the hill they choose versus this hill. And they choose these hills despite knowing what we all know. The numbers are there. We're screwed unless Doge does its job. And yet, what do? They falsely claim that Doge is cutting Social Security and Medicaid. Why would you say that? Why would you say that when you know that if Doge doesn't do this, we're all screwed? Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, we're all screwed. The lower third that was up there said this is a long-term thing. This is why polling is garbage. With Trump, the reason why we stick with Trump is because we're in it for the long term, not the short. Saving the economy, not saving one illegal in El Salvador for the short-term dopamine hit. These polling numbers at the moment, it's like asking a guy how he feels while he's moving a sofa, and not afterward when he's sitting on the sofa having a beer and watching the Five. Pollsters and Democrats don't get it. We accept reality. We get the tough stuff over first. Doge, tariffs, deportation. Yeah, it hurts and it sucks, but the future's going to be great. Pollsters and Democrats do not think about the future. It's now that it's all about now, me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the commitment that the president has made, and I think he tries to get a lot of the pain up front before the midterm cycle, so that he will have some results to look at that point, and that's when the American people should judge. But
how long should we be ready for the pain? I just want to.
Well, it's only been 4 weeks.
Look at the stock market, Harold.
Yeah, it's getting better, Harold.
Yeah. Remember,
Harold.
the master of the half opinion. Oh, look, it's going down. Now it's back up.
We'll see in 6 months. See how you feel.
All right. Yeah, that's the judge.
You want to bet?
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.